recently I feel a call to work a lot more with the angelic realms. I've begun to primarily channel Archangel Michael as the default energy or entity in sessions, seeing as he is this all-present, all-protecting spirit. And I'm also very drawn these days to both the Hermetic or the alchemical tradition. But in this channeling, I think I will attempt to bring in Archangel Metatron, the highest of the archangels, and I'll try to let him offer an explanation on what happens to us when we die. So with no further ado, here's Archangel Metatron. I speak the Archangel Metatron, highest of the orders of reality. I and my fellow spirits from the heavens have been sent to arrange and order in ways that serve to facilitate the transmigration of souls, that serves to facilitate the passage of the soul from one life to the next. You ask me this day, what passes in the experience of the person when this person has to shed their skin and leave this frail holster it has inhabited in order to return to the spirit realms, because that is from where you come, that is from my perspective the true reality, and what goes on down here is experience ordered in a density that allows for it to change so slowly that the soul can in a self recalibrate itself through the experience of the incarnated life as a person. You return from reality to reality, glimpses of life you have lived. From our perspective, a human life is but the blink of an eye. And this eye is the eternal eye that resides within you. This eye only blinks between lifetimes, and then it shifts to its immaterial form, where it becomes quite focused in its attention again. Your third eye, or the concentration of pure consciousness that is focused in the center where your spine meets your brain. Right above it, protected within the skull. This eye is eternal and undying. The pineal is a receiver and a regulator of the frequencies which the brain allows for itself to translate into conscious experience. But it is not the generator of consciousness. That is why when you die, what has been described in your near-death experiences as life flashing before the dying individual's eyes. This is a type of purgation or shedding of the vibrations inherent in the skin. And so this approaching the light is quite literally what happens, because you are absorbed and immersed into the light. And these many pleasant experiences that many people with near-death experiences report, they are a type of hyper accelerated ascension, and so they shift into more and more positive, creative, beautiful images of what they themselves are, switching gradually and radically up through a seventh dimensional perception of themselves until they arrive at the stargate of your sun, where this process of the shifting of the soul in the ecology of souls connected to this planet, your mother Gaia, is centered. It is in the sun disk where the eighth dimensional consciousness that resides in this being that guards over you and provides you life. It is here that you are fully purged. And notice that so many images of hells or these torturous realms of the afterlife in your mythologies very often are connected to the burning of the flesh, or the sensation of being burnt and tortured by flames without them subsiding by the destruction of the body. This is exactly because for those humans who have to a great degree linked themselves to the world through unfolding of base desires, or through the unfolding of harm to other individuals, or other such things you know in your hearts to be bad for you and your fellow beings. These beings experience the purgation of the soul afterwards in the sun as a type of painful burning away of these negative karmic patterns until they too can enter into the eternal third eye presence of the undying Godhead, seated in the 13th dimension, though this, of course, does not suffice to in any way describe what that ultimate reality is. After having passed through the sun disk in some time, and having left those karmic patterns behind to be resolved in the sublunar wheel of time, what you could also think of as the cycle of samsara, or the karmic wheel. There these karmic patterns sometimes still reverberate with the unresolved intentions of the person who has left the world behind, and that is what you may think of as ghosts. But fortunately, many, not to say most cultures, have still retained to some degree people who engage in the ghostly realms and see these patterns on their way back to the process of purification in the sun. After having passed through the sun, the eternal eye in its all-seeing wisdom locates in the symphony that it creates and that constitutes and feeds it. It births this symphony of the cosmos, and there the individual soul that has passed through the purgation and is now seated in the oceanic, warm, bright light of the source. There it is again directed in a place and to a place that is in accordance with the patterns that had previously played out in its existence. And so these patterns return to be resolved in different complexities, but with similar tonalities in different parts of the cosmos. And this is what you could think of as reincarnation. But there are, of course, not infinite, but very complex layers of fractals and incarnation cycles within incarnation cycles. And it is true that the oversoul is split, perceived from a lower dimensional perspective, into many manifestations, and your soul is having experiences in many manifold realms at the same time. And this is why this resonance pattern sometimes finds itself playing out in your life, though it seems to hail from some different galaxy or world. Many energies are resolving themselves harmoniously, in different experiences that are mapping out what is possible to feel, think, and engage in through these symphonic correspondences over time and space. This is what you are as seen from the perspective of the heavens. A radiant will of starlight that has set upon it to transform the darkness it found as the canvas to create this world, and from it create a brightness that encompasses both the seen and the unseen into its binary light of unity. I, the Archangel Metatron, right hand, creator of the divine architecture of the source, I leave you with this message in our undying love, compassion, and feeling for you in this experience you are having. Be well now and rest in peace, in love, and in the knowing that you are safe always.